and thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be showing you my Angelfish community tank. Now this tank is long overdue for a cleaning. You can see the way overgrown roots and exactly how dirty the sand bed is. It is definitely time for a cleaning. The first order of business is I need to get this calathea out. Now this calathea was doing good, but it did get moved around, and me not maintaining the tank and looking at it every day like I used to, unfortunately now the calathea is rotting the tank. So we're going to need to remove it, and I'm going to go ahead and separate all of the little baby pothos that we have. Now all the other plants in this tank are over a year old, so everything is completely huge. It's totally awesome seeing them grow, seeing them continue to grow. Even though they were fully submerged most of the time, it was great. A little backstory on this tank. I got this tank off of Craigslist. The person selling it to me sold it to me as a 40-gallon breeder. If I do the math with the cut, it is a 30-gallon tank. I believe that he was trying to make it a cool turtle tank, as he was a reptile guy. He eventually sold it to me, and every once in a while I send him a picture saying that, hey, the tank's still doing great. And if the massive piece of wood in the middle, that's actually a cherry tree stump from my mom's backyard. All the rocks around, those are rocks from around the state. That is also why this tank is very special to me. It's an entire collage. The rocks in the front are from my apartment. It's just a lot of memories go into this tank. A couple of the fish in this tank are from my first fish tank. Mostly the algae eaters, as they tend to live a lot longer and be way hardier than the other fish. But the other fish are pretty cool too. As of now, there's 3 guppies and a couple babies, 2 angelfish, 2 gouramis, an Odo catfish, and a Chinese algae eater. Now the Chinese algae eater is absolutely massive. He was sold to me as an Odo, and he grew up to be Odo's insane big brother. You can see me siphoning out all of that muck from the tank. There is a sheer amount of it. It made this water absolutely gross. It was so bad that I took a look after I siphoned out 5 gallons and I said, you know what, 5 gallons isn't enough. I need to do another 5-gallon siphon. I went ahead and I got this second 5-gallon siphon going, and this one was a little bit more satisfying, as I was able to actually pick up more of the fish waste and a lot of the decaying plants. Now this fish tank typically doesn't need water changes. It only needs a water change once every 6 months. But since the calathea decided to fall a little bit under the water and start decomposing, the tank definitely needed a water change. There were too many tannins and too much decomposed leaf in the back. Now although I do not mind because of the roots, and the roots really tear it up, it is not visually appealing, and this tank being in my mom's house, I have to keep it as visually appealing as possible. After I went ahead and I siphoned out the second 5 gallons, I decided that it was time to break up my dog's fight, and also to start cleaning out the sponge filters that I have in the tank. I have 2 sponge filters. I believe that one is a 75-gallon and one is a 40-gallon sponge filter. That could be completely wrong, but I do have 2 of them, and one is way larger than the other one. My method of cleaning them is to take them out while they're still on, and to squeeze out all the nasty muck into the tank water that you just siphoned out. I like to leave them on because otherwise you're going to get a lot of air in the sponge, and it's just going to float for a while, and then you have to squeeze it, and it's just a little bit more work, and to most people it wouldn't make a difference, but to me it does. After I went ahead and I got that one back in the tank, I pulled out my second sponge filter. I have both of these connected to a dual-way air pump, which has worked great. I also got the sponge filter and the air pump from the guy off Craigslist. Thank you, Craigslist guy. After I went ahead and I gave it a real good rinse to get all that muck off in the muck water, I put it back in the tank, and my filtration was ready to go. I decided to start wrestling with the plants a little bit, but it was really challenging considering how many there were. They absolutely took off and overgrew the tank, and while moving them around I even found a couple babies. I made sure to dump all of my nasty tank water into the plants around my mom's garden. It gives it a nice aroma, and it also helps the plants grow super healthy and fast. It's like a natural supplement. I got a little lazy, and instead of spreading out the second bucket, I just poured it all on the pomegranate tree. I'm really hoping for some good pomegranates this year, and I'm excited for the pumpkins to grow too. Now getting back to the tank, I started doing some finishing touches on the aquascape. and there was definitely a lot of work to do. Most of it was done off camera, but I came up with a general idea like this. I wanted the bamboo to be lined in the background and the pothos to kind of give it a bushy look in the front. So rather than being able to see the bamboo come straight out of the back of the wood, you're going to see leaves in between that. Now once I got something going like this, I was super happy with it, and I decided it was time to fill up the tank again. This was the only dechlorinator that I have. I poured some in this pitcher, and then I went ahead and I filled it up at the sink. Now I've dipped my fingers in my tank a lot, so I know what temperature it needs to be around. I decided to pour this in the tank, and usually I just dose the dechlorinator straight into the water, but this time I decided to put it into a pitcher and spread it out a little more evenly. That way when I start pouring in the larger volumes of water, it's going to mix in a little better. My bucket was still nasty, so I had to rinse it off. Then I added a little bit of AccuClear. This is going to help the water clear up a little faster, and it's going to help the particles clump up for my sponge filters. This is important for me, especially because I have no flow. I went ahead and I filled up my bucket with the same pitcher. And I took it over to the tank. I made sure not to put too much of the bucket's weight onto the glass while I added the water. And for some reason I added it incredibly slow. Usually I just pour it straight onto the wood, but I think it had been so long that I forgot and I wasn't sure how not to stir up the sand. When it came to the second pour, I was a lot more vigilant, and I kind of remembered my old ways. I started dousing the wood and pouring it almost as fast as I could into the tank. There are a lot of watermarks on this tank, especially around the rim of the water, but it's okay. I don't genuinely clean it too much, and in a way, it kind of gives it a more natural look. After I went ahead and I added the water, it was super cloudy. Looking all over the sand bed, it was for sure that I needed to do more work. There was a lot of fish muck and fish poop everywhere. I didn't know what to do. So I decided to stay on track, and I also realized that I forgot to scrape the glass. And now this algae was super hard to scrape, but I got it all off. I went ahead and I did a little water change off camera, and then I noticed the baby. This was when I noticed him in person, as before I never noticed. I hope I didn't suck too many up. This guy does seem to be a little big enough to escape the mother guppies, so I think he'll be okay. A little later on in the day, I found 2, which means there's 2 babies. Now that's pretty good. I can't get too excited considering that most of the fish in the tank will eat the babies, even the guppies, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. You could see my Chinese algae eater has grown to the size of my hand. That's huge! And my angelfish, they like to play Andy's coming and stay frozen, but they've grown to the size of a small saucer. It's nice to see a full-grown angelfish in my own tank. I decided to feed the fish a little bit, just for the video, although they had already been fed. Make sure a little bit of those babies get fed, even though I might have killed them rustling up their entire house. That's going to be it for this video though. I hope you enjoyed the update on the tank, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It means the absolute world to me. If you're having troubles with your tank, don't worry and just be patient. The bumpiest roads lead to the best views. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for clicking on this video. Wow, you actually watched to the end of the video. May all of your tank issues go away, and may you have a great rest of your day.